Can you solve this mystery? This is the story of two friends who got into an accident while they were camping, but someone is hiding something, and not everything is as simple as it might seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So these two friends, a young man and woman, went camping together in the woods. The man said that he knew his way around because he went camping there all the time, so he ended up leading the way. They arrived at a long rope bridge that they both had to cross to get to the other side. The woman went first, but something was wrong. One of the boards on the rope bridge came loose. She accidentally stepped through, but managed to grab the rope just in time to save herself from falling. She shouted to her friend for help, but he said that he was too scared to get on the bridge now. She finally pulled herself up to safety, where her friend said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm fine, but that could have ended up a lot worse." And her friend replied, "You're right, someone should really fix the ropes on the bridge." What really happened here, and who's the one that's hiding something? Can you solve this mystery?
Be careful what you put in your body. In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes had had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, "So she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you."
3 months after I was born, my family moved into a different house in a new neighborhood. My mom told me that after we moved, even though I was just a baby, I started acting differently. She said that in the middle of the night, she'd hear me laughing, and she'd look at the baby camera monitor, and I'd be standing in my crib reaching out, as if there was someone in the room I was reaching for, but there was no one there. Once I got older and started talking, my mom told me that I would always talk about the man in the hat, and sometimes I would get upset and start crying and ask my mom where he was because I wanted to play with him. But my mom thought I just had an imaginary friend. But as I grew up, the man in the hat never went away. I kept talking about him. Eventually, my mom got worried and took me to a child psychologist when I was 5 years old. And I don't really remember it, but during the sessions, the psychologist would ask me questions about the man in the hat. But apparently, whenever she referred to him as my imaginary friend, I would get really angry and defiant and say he's not imaginary. And when she asked me what he was like, I was able to describe him in vivid detail. He wore a blue baseball hat and dark glasses at all times, a long-sleeve turtleneck, and pants. After 5 sessions, the psychologist concluded that I probably just had a really intense imagination, which is common for little kids. But the psychologist warned my mom that she should keep a close eye on it.
When I was 17, my family actually forgot about my birthday, so when I told my best friend, she felt really bad for me and convinced her family to do something with me. So they took me out to eat at a restaurant where they throw like bread rolls at you, and they told the waitress that it was my birthday. So the waitress asked me to stand up, and I was like, no. But everyone kept staring at me, and my best friend was like, just stand up. So I stood up, and the waitress announced to everyone in the room that it was my birthday, and she asked everyone to sing happy birthday with her. But absolutely nobody sang, so it was quiet. So I slowly sit back down on my chair and I look over to my friend and she's just laughing because this is hilarious to her. And then I look over at the waitress and she looks scared and she starts giving me a bunch of extra bread rolls and she's like, I am so sorry. Needless to say, it was very awkward and a birthday that I will never forget.
This is why you should always sleep with your lights on. In 1991, a man named Christopher Case was found dead in his bathtub, fully clothed in the fetal position. When police interviewed his best friend Sammy, she told them about a very disturbing phone call she got from him the night before he died. On the call, he told her that the previous night he had woken up to what sounded like whispering coming from underneath his bed. When he went to look, he couldn't move. As he laid helplessly, he watched a black figure pull itself out from underneath his bed. Once it was fully upright, it reached down and began choking him until he passed out. The next morning when he came to, he felt his neck and it was swollen and bruised. And then he saw blood on his hands and he saw that there were deep, uniform incisions on each of his fingertips. As he's saying all this to Sammy and telling her how scared he is to go to bed that night, he suddenly stops and he says, I hear whispering outside my room. Then the phone went dead. This is why you should always watch videos to the end. In 2003, a woman came home to her apartment to see that her door was unlocked. She went inside, nothing was missing, so she assumed she must have left it open. When it happened a few more times, but still nothing was missing in her apartment, she went out and got a camera, set it up in her apartment aimed at the front door. The next day, her door was unlocked, so she reviewed the footage. She watches in horror as late in the night, her front door opens and in walks this tall, creepy man who looks around and then walks towards her bedroom off camera. She immediately sprints out of her apartment and calls the police, who show up and tell her to go back in her apartment and just try to stay calm, and that they would put an officer right outside her door so she's safe. As she's sitting on the bed, totally traumatized, she realizes something. She only saw him enter her apartment on that video. She doesn't know if he actually left. As she's sitting there, she feels breathing on her ankles. She runs out, the cop comes in, and he finds the tall, creepy man under the bed holding a knife and a camera.
My mom said my little sister is an angel, but when I threw her out of the balcony, she didn't fly. I should not be laughing at this. My brother told me once, Gabs, there's someone in my closet. I told him, no there isn't. I opened up the closet to see my brother inside. I mean, at that point, they're both catching these hands. I do not care. I always wondered why my mom never let me leave the house, so I snuck outside and wandered around. Then I saw a paper. Why did it have a picture of me? I always thought my cat had a staring problem. It turned out it was always looking behind me. My mom always used to say doorbells stop people from knocking, so I don't know why she said we had to move when I asked for a doorbell on my window.
Story time about how I would try and defend my older brother when we was in nursery. So me and my brother have a 2-year age gap. I'm currently 18 and he's currently 21. And when we was in nursery, he used to always play fight and I used to hate it. Because you know what boys are like, they're just tackling each other down, but I never used to understand the concept. And the fact that somebody was beating up my brother, I didn't like. I'm not trying to make him sound weak here, but he was getting taken over. So my little self came running over and I literally jumped on this guy's back. But I didn't take it as far as just jumping on his back. I decided to bite him. Why did I bite him? I do not know. But anyways, he did get off and the teachers came running over. My mum was called into school and had to have a talk about me biting this student. And the teacher basically tried explaining that they was just play fighting. Then I ran over and, you know, interrupted, bit the guy. And I wonder if he actually has a bruise to this day about me biting him. I have no idea. Was I in the wrong for trying to defend my brother?
Am I the for refusing to let a female student use the bathroom? I know the title makes me look like a major. Hear me out. I, male 46, work at a high school as a PE teacher. Recently, I noticed that a student of mine, let's call her A, stopped participating in class and her excuse would always be the same. She'd say, Mr. Smith, I'm on my period. Can I please use the bathroom? This carried on every PE lesson for 1 month when our unit was dancing and I had to give each student a mark. She would leave for 45 minutes and was behind everyone. I had nothing to grade her on and was getting increasingly annoyed. So this time when she asked, I just snapped. I said, if you're on your period this often, multiple times in 2 months, I think you need medical help.
Something really toxic.
One time when my boyfriend was sleeping, his phone went off and it was from a Morgan, and I know all of his exes and friends, and like I've never heard of a Morgan before. So I went through the messages and they were talking about how much they missed each other, and I was like, weird. So I got on his Facebook and typed her name in his friends list, and there she was. And I went on her Facebook. It was really, really private, and I could only see like 3 or 4 profile pictures, and there was a guy in one of them and he was tagged. So I went to his Facebook and I saw that they were engaged, and I was like, weird. So I had screenshotted all the messages and then sent them to my phone, then deleted them out of his pictures and his phone, so he didn't know that I had them. And I reached out to Morgan. I tried to call her on Facebook.
Why?
And then was immediately blocked. And then I went to the fiance's Facebook and I was immediately blocked. So I said, that's kind of fishy. So I got on my second Facebook and I typed in the fiance's name and I went through his friends list and sent screenshots of the messages to all of the people with his same last name. And it turns out it was the night before their wedding and it was a rehearsal dinner night and I ruined the wedding. So sorry about that, Morgan. Don't text my boyfriend.
Usually when my clients arrive for their appointment, they're not wearing any makeup. But this girl wore makeup to the appointment just to have me take it off and then do her makeup again. I thought that was a little strange, but after I removed her makeup, I saw her nose. The tip of her nose was bright red and even a little bit deformed. It looked like a really, really bad sunburn. I tried to avoid the area when I started doing her makeup, but eventually I had to put makeup on her nose. And when I did, it was just not working. Her skin was literally peeling off. The makeup would not stay. So that's when I asked her, is there something going on with your nose that I should know about? Let me also just say that at this point, it was starting to swell and was noticeably more red than it was when she got there. That's when she told me that she had recently been out of the country for a mission trip and that she had picked up a flesh-eating bacteria, which had affected her nose. Then she told me not to worry because she had been on antibiotics for months, and that the irritation on her nose was just her skin healing. For once, I was horrified, not my client.
Once upon a time, I was standing in my friend's living room waiting for him to grab something from his bedroom so we could leave, and his roommate, who was seated behind me on the couch, grabbed me from behind, yanked me onto the couch, and started tickling me. We barely knew each other as well, and I kept saying, "Stop it, I don't like being touched, stop it, I don't like being tickled," and he wouldn't stop, so I just farted on him. It was a good one, too. I had the Ripper in the Chamber, level 10, smell and sound, and it had the desired effect, which was he shoved me off of him, but then he had the audacity to be angry with me, and he said, "Why would you do that?" And I was like, "I told you to let me go and you wouldn't let me go." And he said, "Yeah, but you didn't have to fart on me." And I was like, "I kinda did, dude. You weren't listening to my words. I told you to stop." And he said, "I was just playing, calm down." And I said, "Okay, even if you're just playing, even if you think you're a great guy and you don't have malicious intentions, that does not give you the right to touch somebody without their consent. If she's saying stop, you have to stop."
Story time. So when I was younger, I don't know, but my brain cells weren't functioning. So we were watching this episode on Kim Possible. If you don't know who that is, then you're too young. They were using bags as parachutes. So I had this brilliant idea. I told my cousin we were going to use trash bags to jump off the roof. But not just any trash bags. You know those Walmart trash bags? The ones that your mom uses as trash bags for your restroom? Bro, they had so many holes in them. They were holier than the holy water in the Catholic Church. Anyway, so my dad was painting this weekend. So he left his ladder in the backyard. So here we come as chunky little kids trying to climb up that ladder. We're like, 1, 2, hold up. I told my cousin, you jump first so I can make sure it works. Poor little child. He's like, that's a great idea. So he jumps. His big old head goes black. The trash bag just lands on his head. I didn't even care. I jumped and landed right on top of him too. The end.
I was 14, I got my very first cavity, and I went in to get it filled, and my dentist gave me laughing gas, and surprise, laughing gas makes me laugh a lot. And he was really frustrated, because apparently if your patient is laughing a ton, it is very hard to fill a cavity, and he was trying to get me to be more serious, and he was like, "Why won't you stop laughing?" And I said, "I don't know, man, you're the adult who gave me drugs." And then I kept laughing, and finally, he just looked me in the eyes, and he said, "Dead puppies." And not only did that make me laugh harder, but it made everybody in the room laugh. The dental assistants were laughing. The other patients are now laughing. And now we're all getting the giggles because I can't stop giggling. And he was so angry. And he was like, "Dead puppies are not funny." And we were like, "The way you say it is funny." And then everybody's laughing. It's fully euphoric. And my mom walks into the room and everyone's laughing except my dentist, who just kept yelling, "Dead puppies, dead puppies, dead puppies."
Story time. When I was younger, my face was paralyzed. I grew up with my cousin, so he's more like my brother. So you know, as younger siblings, you gotta make him suffer. Bruh, we would bully each other all the time. So he always has something to say. Then this morning, he was like, "Why your face so lopsided?" I was like, "Bro, if you don't shut up, I know you ain't talking with your big old head and your edges don't meet." Then he's like, "Nah, for real though. Your face is lopsided. Why your eye bigger than the other? Like," he's like, "Go look in the mirror." So I ran to the mirror inside the school and I was shook. My face was lopsided. I started crying. I was like, "Lord, am I gonna die?" I ran to the nurse's office and I called my mom. "Mommy, my face is melting." My mom ran to the school and took me to the hospital. They didn't really know what was going on. All they could say was my face was paralyzed. They said therapy could help, but most likely my face was gonna be like that forever. Bro, but I'm gonna tell you, God healed me. Yeah, my face is a little bit lopsided still. In less than a month, I was completely healed.
Back when I worked in fast food, some nights would get so slow and so boring that my coworker and I would have to make up games. And one of them was that we would take orders together at the drive-thru. So for example, a car would pull in and I would say, "Hi, how can I help you today?" And they would say, "Yeah, could I get a double cheeseburger?" And then my male manager would drop his voice an octave on purpose and say, "Of course, would you like that in a meal?" And they would go, yes. And then I would jump back in and say, would you like a Coke with that? And they would go, yeah. And then my mail manager would jump back in and we would just do line for line for line until they pulled up. And at one point, a man pulled up and he was like, real professional, guys, real professional. And I was like, listen, it is 11:30 p.m. I've been here since 2 p.m. I promise 8 hours of professional behavior. If they make me stay longer than that, then that's on them.
Story time. When I was like 6 or 7 years old, I was really thick with 3 C's. I mean, if I was a fruit, I was a grape. If I was a shape, I was a circle. You see this right here? This. Well, it was a time when girls began to like question their like bodies and stuff like that. All of my friends aren't fat, so why am I fat? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get on a diet. So for that whole day, I only ate carrots. But then I was so confused. Why am I still fat? I only ate carrots all day. Oh no, God, am I pregnant? My mom had a pregnancy test in her bathroom. So guess what I did? I struggled to open that pregnancy test up. I was so scared for my life. I knew for sure I was pregnant because there was no other way that I could be fat and not be pregnant. I took the pregnancy test and waited. To my relief, it said negative. I went to my mom, cried because I was like, Mom, I think I'm pregnant, but I think this pregnancy test doesn't work. I'm so fat, I must be pregnant. She's like, nah, you ain't pregnant. You just eat too much.
My most horrifying date that I have been on was when this super cute guy took me to a Mexican restaurant and he knew everybody who worked there. Seemed like a little bit of a flex. He was like, hey, knew all their names. And I ordered lemon water, like a basic. And he said, oh, you didn't want horchata? And I said, no, what is horchata? And he said, you've never had horchata? And I was like, no. And he said, you have to try the horchata. And I was like, that's okay. I'm good with my lemon water. And he said, no, you have to try it. When mine comes, you'll try it. And so his horchata came and I was drinking it and he was staring at me as I was drinking it. And I thought, oh, I have to put on a show. He is super into the cinnamon milk. And then he said, do you like it? And with the horchata still in my mouth, I said, yeah, it's really good, but I hadn't swallowed the horchata, so it just backwashed into his cup.
One day when I was 8, I was playing Roblox and I was playing that game where it's like a tycoon but you make a house. I forgot the name. But keep in mind I was fairly new and I had recently gotten hacked at that time and they deleted my progress in that game. So I had just finished the house the second time and this was way before the new chat update in Roblox where you can see the text like way further away. So in these houses there is a basement with a bedroom and a bathroom. And I always kept my front door and slider locked in that game. But I was in the kitchen and saw those chat bubbles that were just the 3 dots. I ran downstairs immediately and saw in the bathroom a girl and a dude dressed as Shrek, one on the toilet and they were both So yeah, that scarred me for life.
Am I wrong for telling my daughter she should change her wedding dress to green? My oldest daughter is straight-laced and is doing the whole get married and have a traditional life. She places a lot of emphasis on her upcoming wedding. My youngest is the complete opposite. While I don't agree with some of her choices, she's an adult, she pays for her way of life, and there's not much more I can do. She likes to call herself a digital nomad. My eldest kicked my youngest out of the wedding party. It's because my youngest has eloped with her boyfriend. The guy is about 10 years older than her, divorced with 2 kids. I think what set my oldest off is that her fiance comes from money, and the wedding will be stupidly lavish. However, my youngest daughter's husband has a lot more money, and he wholeheartedly supports my daughter's artistic temperament.
I, 24, have been with my fiance 24 for 7.5 years. We started dating our senior year of high school. He has always said that he was waiting to propose until we had enough money for a wedding. I always told him that I would go to the courthouse or have a very small wedding. He was the one that wanted a big party. There was also his family drama that held him back because he was hoping to mend his relationship with his family before getting married so that they could attend. Long story short, he finally realized that his parents weren't going to be civil and they are no longer in our lives. I began anticipating him proposing after that. He finally did this past Christmas. It felt like we were finally moving forward with our lives. After he proposed, I realized I did indeed want a real wedding, though still something small. He again was trying to make it bigger than what I wanted or what we could afford. He said that we should be celebrating our lives together after all the pain and drama we had put up in our lives. So I began planning a wedding. My father works at a private golf course and they offered to use a venue for a fraction of the cost. I don't have the exact numbers yet, but they waived the site fee, $5,000. I get all the enhancements for free, which is a $2,500 value, and I don't have to have their minimum person count. We're essentially paying for the food and drink and will still be given a discounted price. On top of that, my grandparents and parents are planning on chipping in. I really imagine my fiance and I only paying about $5,000 out of pocket for DJ and attire. And I plan on having people gift money for a house instead of items for wedding gifts. To me, this wedding is important and is a dream wedding that I thought I'd never be able to afford. But my fiance thinks that we should scrap it all and focus on buying a house in the next 2 to 3 years. But that we could get married at the courthouse, even though it was his idea for a big wedding. And maybe have a wedding after we buy a house. So to me, this means that I won't have a wedding for another 5-ish years, and who knows if my dad will still be at this job or have this amazing offer. Am I being unreasonable for wanting this wedding?
Am I wrong for rescheduling my friend's bachelorette party? My female 24 friend, female 24, I've known about for 10 years is getting married in August. I am the maid of honor. We booked our hotel room in January. Party was planned for the end of May. I don't live in the same city as the bride, so her and the other girls in the bridal party are planning on driving to me, which is a 3-hour drive. I just found out that a trip me and my mom have been planning to Europe this spring for the last 3 years was already canceled once in 2020, has been canceled again due to low numbers in tour. Our travel agent had another tour we could choose that is for sure a go, but it would be interfering with the bachelorette. Travel agent said other tours later in the year are also not a guarantee and prices could change. I messaged the bridal party and apologized for needing to change the date, and I explained that this is a trip that is important for me and my mom, and we have limited options. The girls agreed to change the date to the end of April, and I spoke with the bride on the phone and all seemed well, and she said she understood and was optimistic everything would work out. The next day she messages me saying it's not going to work. We talk on the phone and she says the rest of the girls don't want to change the date as it is inconvenient for them and their schedules. As well, another friend was planning to fly in from another city. I had messaged her already to apologize. She had previously told me that flights were cheap and she also has family here or could visit the bride at the end of May if she couldn't change the flights. I told the bride that my mom told the travel agent to book this new tour and my mom is not changing it again. I asked why we couldn't pick another weekend when almost all of the girls have weekends off. I told her that if we don't change the date, then I will not be at the bachelorette. She said, I guess you won't be then. After, I messaged the bridal party group chat to explain to the girls I can't change this trip now and that there is a lot of money wrapped up in it. I said sorry again and just asking why they can't make another date work. I also gave the option that some could drive in on Saturday if not able to on Friday due to work. Another bridesmaid sent a huge message saying it was disrespectful that I expect 5 people to change their schedule for just me and that she knows I can easily change my trip to another date and that I don't get to make calls on the driving schedule. I stated I was not trying to disrespect anyone and was just giving options so that things could work out. I told her she was out of line for calling me disrespectful. I also was speaking to the bride on her own chat and I said I feel like she isn't backing me up on this and I feel hurt she is willing to exclude me. She said she doesn't have the confidence that I'll be there for her on her wedding day and that this isn't all about me, it's supposed to be about her.
One day my roommates were driving home and they saw a truck driving down the road with a bumper attached to the hitch that was just getting dragged down the road, and they thought, who, that sucks, who just lost a bumper? And then they drove up to our house and they saw my car parked out front, sans bumper, and they were like, oh no. And so they came in and got me, and I had to come out and talk with the neighbors, and we had to call the cops, and it was this whole huge thing. And then my neighbor had the audacity to tell the cop that the reason he ripped my bumper off of my car and drove with it for 6 blocks was because I parked on his hitch. And I was just like, excuse me, sir, I grew up in cow country. I know not to park on a damn hitch. Okay, every time I see your hitch on the street, all I can think to myself is he should take that off of his truck and put it in the back of the cab because that's gonna get stolen and that is good money. How dare you? How dumb do you think I am parking on a hitch?
Bye, sisters.